Evening News. Finance Minister Chris Sinclair says while some people have counted on Barbados to fail, the central bank's recent report on the economy shows recovery has started. Mr. Sinclair made the comment during a ceremony to officially open First Citizens Bank new branch at Welch's St. Thomas. He said while there are those who believe recovery could only come by Barbados declaring defeat and going to Washington for a financial bailout, hard work and self-confidence have shown otherwise.
I think that it is only fair to say that we have begun a turnaround in the Barbados economy and society. The fact that our first quarter growth was just short of 1% and predictions for between 1 and 2% growth for the remainder of the year gives us a degree of confidence that the policies we've adopted, the discipline that we have shown, and the tenacity that we have will bear us out successfully in the end.
Mr. Sinclair says it also shows government's fiscal adjustment program is working, but there's still more to be done.
Return stability to our foreign exchange market, bring our fiscal deficit down to more manageable levels, and we haven't reached the goal that we want to ultimately yet, because we want to bring that down below 3%, between 2.5 and 3%, which we think is appropriate for a country our size, magnitude, and of course with our limited resources. And to see a turnaround in relation to growth within our economy through the expansion of our critical sectors, those in particular that generate foreign exchange, but equally as well the domestic sectors in construction, retailing and wholesaling, and so forth and so on.
The social partnership has had cordial discussions regarding pending layoffs at the island's sole producer of electricity, the Barbados Light and Power Company. Labour Minister Dr. Esther Bayer, representatives of the BL&P, along with the various arms of the social partnership, met at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre this morning. Dr. Bayer says the Light and Power has given a commitment to follow the correct process in the best interest of the more than 400 employees. Some of the employees who have accepted voluntary separation packages will be leaving the company as soon as next week. The Labour Minister explains what will happen once Phase 1 of the restructuring is completed.
The Light and Power would indicate formally to the union, and they would try to meet bilaterally. That's the usual process. They would meet, they would discuss. If they have difficulty, the process goes to the Chief Labour Officer. If in those negotiations they have further difficulty, then they would come to me.
Human Resources Manager at the BL&P, Roger Baburam, says restructuring the company is necessary as it moves from fossil fuel dependency to renewable energy. He says with more renewable energy players also entering the market, the company needs to be competitive. Mr. Baburam says the voluntary separations have been going well, with about 70 employees already expressing interest.
For the voluntary separation, April 30th is the last day of work, but of course, in ensuring continuity of operation, we had to transition some of the employees out. So it would range basically between a period of 3 months to probably a period of 9 months.
More Barbadians are recognizing the importance of protecting their business ideas. And as a result, the Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property Office is seeing an increase in the number of people registering trademarks for their business. This observation from Deputy Registrar with responsibility for copyright, Marlene Weeks-Libert, during an open day at CAIPO's offices in Warrens. She wants business owners to seek guidance from officers at CAIPO when submitting their application. She says there are too many instances of misleading trademarks being sent in, and this, according to Ms. Libert, slows down the efficiency of the application process.
We look at the trademark to make sure that it is not, for example, that any disclaimers are made, for example, if it has the word Barbados in it, or if you're producing, for example, one of your goods is milk, and part of your mark speaks to milk, you have to disclaim milk in the classification. So we ensure that all disclaimers are done where necessary. We ensure that the mark is a mark that can be registered in accordance with the provisions of the trademark.
Due to technical difficulties, we don't have our usual interactive question and answer segment tonight. But do you want to hear what our children think about the 11 Plus exam? We'll have that story and more after the break.
A test of character, a test of focus, a test of will, a test of resilience, a test of courage. Barbados, the test is on. West Indies, England, May 1st at the Mecca. Tickets $30, $40, $50, and $60. It's on.
Are you Barbados is on?
FAS Entertainment presents the Digicel Reggae on the Hill, featuring Queen Africa.
Take you far away, far away.
High Octane.
I can see it in your eyes.
Norris Man. Luciano. Barrington Levy. Beanie Man.
Back it up, down. Back it up, down.
Steel Pulse. Plus the best of Barbados. MCs Miss Kitty and Peter Coppin. Sunday, April 26th, Farley Hill National Park from 11 a.m. Digicel Reggae on the Hill. The climax.
Win tickets to the Digicel Reggae Festival every week right here on CBC TV 8. Watch Morning Barbados and The Mix every day to hear how you can win tickets to Vintage Reggae, Reggae on the Beach, and Reggae on the Hill. CBC TV 8, bringing you the vibe of the Barbados Reggae Festival.
Pillars of Worship is the story of our search for God over the centuries. And from the time that first wooden cross was nailed to a tree near Holt Town in 1625, God and our many ways of worship have helped to hone our history. Pillars tells the story from early Anglicanism to abundant life, from early governance around 11 parish churches to the exuberant diversity of 500 churches today, from the gorgeous Gothic churches like St. John's, Holy of Holies, the magnificent monuments to saintly ancestors and splendid works of art, from Moravians who came to save the slaves, to Jews and Catholics persecuted for their faith. We admire splendid pillars of stone and human pillars like Sarah Angill and Bishop Coleridge, builders of Barbados.
Get individual programs on DVD for $30 each, or the full package of 7 for just $150. Call 467-5538 to place your orders.
We hope these 7 programs will inspire everyone to enter the churches and search their souls for spiritual health and happiness.
It was a close call for residents in the densely populated Bagatelle St. Thomas community last night. Fire destroyed an unoccupied house just after 8:30. Quick action by fire officials ensured the blaze was contained, with only one other home receiving minor heat damage. 3 tenders and 8 officers responded under the command of Station Officer Clarence Hines. Police are looking into the incident. A Barbadian in St. Lucia has been fined $100,000 DC after he pleaded guilty to possession of nearly 3 kilograms of cocaine. Richie Bonnet was arrested at the George Charles Airport back in January and found with 2.8 kilograms of the drug with a street value of $8.4 thousand. At the time of his arrest, Bonnet was in the company of Barbadian Maria Shepherd. Drug charges against her were dropped. When he appeared in court yesterday, Bonnet pleaded guilty to possession and was fined $100,000 to be paid on or before July 30th, failing which he will serve 18 months in prison. He was reprimanded and discharged on the other charges of intent to supply and export of the illegal drug. Well, hundreds of primary school students across the island are buckling down, getting ready for the Common Entrance examination. Shane Seeley takes you inside the classroom to hear first-hand accounts from teachers and students about the pressure, the stress, and the fulfillment of the exercise.
Right now, we would like to see them become a little bit more serious and make a lot more effort than they're actually doing.
Senior teacher Belinda Martindale is responsible for all Class 4s here at Wesley Hall. On this visit, they're doing a practice exercise in preparation for the Common Entrance examination.
What we've been doing is ensuring that the children are familiar and comfortable with the concepts they would have done in other classes, and we're using those concepts to show the correlation between them and the concepts that we've had to introduce this year.
Now, after the mock test, I spoke to 5 students about the experience. Damani Boyce Ford has his sights set on Harrison College.
It has been sort of difficult since every day that I go home, if I don't have any homework, I have to do some sort of revision or some sort of work.
Now, if they achieve their target, Janae Brown and Hadish Ramcharan will be seeing each other at Queen's College. But they tell a different story about the pressure associated with the exam.
Not really from my parents, but from my teacher, yes. She likes us to get as much marks as we can so that we'll be able to go to a higher school.
I really need to improve because in English I'm getting in my 60s and so.
Okay, what about math?
I am doing well in that.
Another QC hopeful, Janai Thompson, does not agree with doing the practice tests.
They are okay, but I don't think that they should be there, although yes, they help you. I think that the exam is the exam. You can't copy that.
And Rihanna Hunt was the only one undecided about her future.
For me, the mock test really didn't bother me because it's just a sheet of paper with questions on it that you have to answer.
What about your parents? What are they telling you leading up to 11+?
Rihanna, do your work. Do it well. Get as many marks as you can. Don't give the teachers any marks to take away from you.
And we hear from Miss Martindale, it's not only pressure for the students, but for the teachers as well.
I enjoy what I do where they're concerned, so it is always a challenge I live up to.
The principal, he's hoping for another top 10 performer.
Last year we had a top 10 student. Teachers are working very hard to prepare the children, so I expect some good results this year, and I hope it works out.
Meanwhile, it's right here at Charles F. Brooms, where particularly the boys have performed exceptional as a group.
Last year we had 2 children in the top 10, and I can say that the statistics showed that the boys as a cohort last year performed better than any other group of children in the island.
Now, most of those interviewed believe that the Common Entrance exam is the fairest way to determine the placement of students at secondary school. And they have their work cut out, because most of them either want to go to Harrison College or Queen's College.
It's the fairest way because you study hard enough to determine, and it's not a draw or chance.
I think the Common Entrance exam is a fair way to see where your work can take you.
I think that it's fair because some children don't know as much as other children, so obviously it's the fairest way that children can go in to secondary school that is right for them.
But Malachi Arthur has a different take on the examination.
I think the Common Entrance exam is a bit unnecessary because why would a child have to just take a test that they would be anxious for just for it to determine what secondary school they go to?
Principal Lewis, however, insists the exam is the best way forward and explains why the practice tests are so important.
Following the practice test, we look at item analysis, items that the children may find challenging. Then we would review those items and consolidate the experiences of the children and continue our teaching.
So the teaching and the preparation continue in the lead up to the Common Entrance exam. Hundreds of students will be headed to examination centers across the country on May 5th. I'm Shane Seeley.
Thanks, Shane, and best of luck to all of the students. Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. And remember, you can follow us on Twitter at CBC_Newsroom and on our Facebook page, CBC News Barbados.